cover a car rally once by Maruti Suzuki. This was the very challenging Raid De Himalaya, which takes place every year in the month of October. It's the toughest and the highest car rally in the world. When they invited me to come along, I thought it would be just fun, and actually, it was a fun trip because as a journalist, we were very, very comfortable. They gave us luxurious SUVs to travel in and pampered us throughout. And of course, they were looking for coverage. So generally, like most media trips, it was a very cushy trip. But at the end of it, I realized that I hadn't even had half as much fun as the rallyists had, because they were actually competing and they were out there on the roads. And so that very year I resolved that next time I must come, and I must come as a participant. So the very next year I hooked up with a college friend of mine, and I took my father's Swift car, learnt up quickly the basics of rallying and how both of us had to learn how to navigate, because it's a slightly technical thing, the time, speed, distance format, which you need for the adventure trial which we were participating, had to cram up the rules and regulations and all that. But anyhow, it took us about 2 months of extreme hard work. But at the end of it, we were there, ready for the flag off. We were an all-woman team, and we managed to complete that very grueling rally at the end of it, at the end of about 2,000 kilometers over roads which were virtually non-existent. They were just boulders and snow and rock, and we had to spend a couple of nights in tents in Zanskar area of Ladakh. But the end of it, when we completed and we walked home with the trophy of being the all-woman team to complete the rally, it was extremely satisfying. And I mean, nobody was more surprised than me myself. How did I come home with this? We were first timers, and we were pitted against teams, very extremely well equipped teams from the army, then most of the sponsored teams. We had teams from the Air Force, and of course ace rally drivers were there from all over the country. So it was great fun. I think it's more fun when you walk home with the trophy, so that makes it even better and makes it worthwhile. It's not very easy. I think it takes some discipline. It's not as if one day you decide to do this and another day you decide to do this. You have to plan in advance. I work out my work schedule. For instance, I generally, if I'm working on a weekend on a story, then I know that I'll finish it by Tuesday, and then I'll have 2 or 3 days. That's the time when I quickly pick up my car and I go to my farm and I quickly have a look over there and come back. So you have to plan in advance, and you need certain amount of discipline in your life. Okay, if you've set out a task, for instance, if I'm working on my book on a particular weekend, I know that I have to do 1 chapter this weekend. Whether I stay up till 2 o'clock or stay up till 3 o'clock at night, I put it to bed, and only then do I go to sleep myself. If I let things drag and drift along, then it's not really possible to achieve whatever else you want to. Like, you can't have big dreams without having small achievable goals. So I set small things, okay, 1 step at a time. I mean, this has been my motto in life throughout. We seem to be plagued by apathy and a general cynicism, even boredom, I would say, or a lack of interest to just go out and try something new. We don't seem to be wanting to move out of our little comfort zones, and that, I think, hinders. I mean, I've seen a lot of women who would look at the others and say, oh wow, I wish I was like her, but she won't take that first step towards doing what the other, somebody whom she admires is doing, or something which she would like to do. But I think it's high time we break these little barriers which contain us, move out and take that first one small little step, and then the rest will become easier. But just taking that first step is a little tough, so you've got to make a determined effort towards that. for a woman who's living in these times, bringing up her children, running a household, I think it's extremely important to get exposure and other things too, because life is so much more challenging and you are able to give that much more to your family if you yourself have widened your horizons, moved out, seen new things, experimented with new interests. Only then can you yourself be a complete woman, and then inspire your children also to take to the same, to emulate you in some way. I think it's more of a challenge nowadays and more of a requirement too.